And we're live. Hello, everybody. Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome to this week's Gain LinkedIn Live. This week, we're joined by Rhiannon Back from Mews. Welcome, Rhiannon.
Hi.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm super excited about the topic today, actually, because we were just saying, you know, with the advent of technology and all the different systems we've got, it's relevant to all of us to how we can leverage that to stay ahead in our careers. So me as marketing, you as sales, this is applicable to us as well. But today we're going to focus on the revenue manager, how you can turn from being a revenue manager to a revenue leader, and how technology can really help you with that. So Rhiannon, tell us a little bit, first of all, about what you do and what you head up at Atomize Mews.
Sure. Thanks, Zoe. I am in sales for Atomize, which is a revenue management system recently acquired by Mews PMS, which I believe is the #1 PMS right now in the market, according to Hotel Tech Report. So right now, for us, it's about merging our companies together and really leveraging each other's products to bring the best in what we do to our customers, letting hotels leverage technology and really go out there with great performance.
Yeah, that's great. So I know that the acquisition happened, when was it, last December?
December, yeah. So it's actually, I mean, it's moving quickly. I feel like a lot has happened since then, but it's still a really new thing. So
Yeah.
we've worked with Mews for a long time. They've always been kind of a preferred partner of ours prior to the acquisition. So when that acquisition came, I think that everyone at Atomize was very excited to be joining up with Mews. And I think our companies share very similar philosophy as far as being tech forward and embracing automation and doing everything you can to expand your offering and leverage that technology.
Yeah. It's amazing actually how quickly, from the little I've spoken to as well, and it feels like you're very much at one. And I mean, we're only at the end of Q1. I can't imagine what must have gone on, but it's just a testament to kind of the organization and good stewardship that's been happening. So congrats, it's fantastic.
Thank you.
How is sort of your main takeaway about how that's sort of affecting clients that you've had?
Yeah, I think from Atomize customers, I think specifically I can speak to. I think that everyone's been excited. Now we work with, just like Mews does, we work with other systems as well. So Atomize has several PMSs that we integrate with, the property management system. Mews also has that, one of its features and one of the things that it keeps important is being agnostic and allowing a lot of different partners integrate with them. So for Atomize customers, I think the acquisition by Mews is exciting because we can expect that there's going to be, enhanced product development and things that we had probably wanted to do maybe for a while on the Atomize side that we couldn't do because of funding. Now, have the possibility to roll forward. So from the Atomize customer side, I think everyone's very excited. And I think that probably for Mews customers, it's similar in that now there is a Mews RMS. And while our RMS system is not right for every hotel, there's still going to be hotels that need different functionality from their system. For a lot of customers, knowing that Mews has an RMS, that the intention would be that eventually would be a native integration, that's kind of exciting as well.
Yeah.
So a stronger product on both ways that you look at it.
Yeah, full of benefits. In very kind of clear, simple terms, can you kind of explain to the audience the symbiosis between RMS and PMS?
Yeah, so when you look at a revenue management system, especially revenue management systems today, we are usually really focused on dynamic pricing. And in order to do that really well and to be able to react to all of the different changes in the market and just in the ecosystem around the property, it's really, really important that there is a really strong integration between the PMS and the RMS. That two-way communication is crucial because the RMS needs to know, how many rooms are left, if there's bookings or cancellations. By leveraging the historical data, we need to know, what does the booking window look like? What are some seasonal trends, things like that. And then, all RMS systems are looking at different data sources outside of that. But the real key to any RMS system is having that strong communication, that strong integration. And the better the integration is, the better the product is going to work and the better results the customer is going to see.
Yeah, got it. I mean, integrations are absolutely key for Mews, I know as well. So yeah, it makes sense what you're saying. So we're talking today we're talking specifically to revenue managers. And I think, staffing, the issue of staffing, the topic of staffing, it's been this massive hot topic since the pandemic, and to be fair, probably before, just because the way the industry is in hospitality, but even more in the last 5 years. And then it's kind of shifted to sort of people being a bit nervous now that all this, we had the problem, then we had the solution because we brought the technology in, right? And now everybody's being sort of nervous about, all this technology going to take our jobs? Is AI going to replace our jobs? And I know it's a really old saying we've heard a million times, but I think it's just so applicable. It's like AI, you could say technology is not going to take your job. It's going to be the person that knows how to leverage that AI technology that's going to get further ahead, that's going to get better results, that's going to have a different kind of job description. So, how can revenue managers leverage, what you're working with now to become leaders in their sphere, in their field?
This is such a great question, Zoe, and it's something that I have such strong opinions about this because I have been in hospitality my whole career. I grew up in a family-owned business, motel, restaurant, and then came up. I've worked in pretty much every area of a hotel that you could possibly work in, and I've worked specifically in revenue management and worked with a lot of revenue managers, both those who were, very old school in their thinking or more traditional, and those who were really, really forward thinking, embracing technology. What I can tell you is that from my experience, there are a lot of revenue managers out there that are a little bit afraid or resistant to adopting technology because the fear is, even if they're not articulating that, the fear is that technology is going to take away their jobs because traditionally they have been the computer. So they've been the ones that have had these complicated spreadsheets. They've had, all of these, working really hard to get all of these data points to come up with prices for the property, and walking walking around with their binders full of printouts of historical data. So, if they talk to a GM, the GM can ask them some random question and they can come up with the answer right away. So that's something that I think a lot of revenue managers have really, really held on to. Not all, but I think that for those that are afraid and that aren't excited about this, the things that I think that they should know is that this is an opportunity for them not to have to be the number cruncher anymore and not to be the computer. We have these systems that we use. I mean, Atomize does 130 million calculations a day, I think, in order to come up with price recommendations. So this is, no human can keep up with that, and they shouldn't be trying even to compete with that. It's about being able to lift yourself out of that computing stage and being able to think really big picture about different ways that the property can drive revenue. So being creative. And I know that there probably is a view that revenue managers aren't typically creative, but that's not true. They're really, really creative people, and giving them the opportunity to not need to spend hours of their day behind the computer or working in spreadsheets is going to give them the opportunity to really move the needle, if you will, in driving revenue. So they already have, for the most part, really advanced analytical skills, forecasting skills, and thinking of the system, an RMS system, as being a partner to them rather than something that's going to take over, I think is really, really important. So it's about mastering the technology and being really tech forward and not trying to compete with it. That's, we can't, we just can't. We're humans, so we can't compete with it. But there are a lot of things that these systems, even those that that employ machine learning or AI, that they can't do that humans can. So that creativity again, turning the insights that are given through these systems into actionable strategies, and truly being strategic and having the time to be strategic. So yeah, I just talked for a long time about my feelings about this.
You sound good though. Everything. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
So I encourage people to just keep learning and don't be resistant. Try to stay on top of the trends rather than avoid them. I'm in sales, so I give demos a lot to people that are interested in revenue management, and often it's demos with people whose GM or whose board has told them to do this. And I hear them, and they say, "Oh, I don't believe a system could know my market as well as I do." Um, and that's the key. Of course, a system isn't going to know your market the way you do, but imagine the system can save you all the time in like computing the data, so you can go forward with what you know, use the system as a sidekick, and go forth. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, technology just opens up new fields for, like you say, for human creativity, and for us as leaders, as forward thinking people, not stuck there in front of the sort of the day-to-day trenches, right? And able to do something else. And I think also you do still need to know your market, and you are still the expert in your market, and whatever comes out of the machine and out of the system that you're using still needs a sense check, and to know that it's relevant for your client and for your guests. So
of course, yeah. And then there's also, revenue managers, we're about rooms and thinking about rooms, but embracing technology like this gives us an opportunity to think about revenue generation beyond rooms. And what are other spaces within your property that can drive revenue in ways that you hadn't thought of before.
Yeah, totally. And you mentioned before about dynamic pricing. So I know that usually that's applied to rooms, but the topic of, how can we monetize different spaces, different amenities, different services within a hotel? I think this is an extremely interesting area for hotels. It's like, okay, our product's the room. Okay, done. What else can we do with the space? What else can we do, with services that our guests have requested and are perhaps going next door for or down the road for? Can we provide them? And, I think, so when we're talking about dynamic pricing, have you seen dynamic pricing applied to anything apart from rooms? Or could you conceive of it?
Absolutely. The conceiving of it, absolutely. I don't think that I've seen it done really, really well yet. I've seen it applied in kind of a rudimentary way, which is fine. That's a great start. I think that Mews as a PMS, for example, has done a really good job of giving customers the opportunity to look at other, parts of their property that can drive revenue, whether that's, add-ons to their room or early check-in or renting a bicycle or renting I don't know, whatever it might be. There's a ton of different options that you could think of. But then taking it the next step, which would be employing dynamic pricing to those things. So maybe you're at a resort and your surfboard rental costs something different depending on the time of day that you're renting it, as an example. And that's something that I know that the product team at Atomize has been wanting to do for a long time. And joining up with a PMS like Mews, I think that that's certainly the next step. And that's not just for our products, it's for everybody. Dynamic pricing within that, and thinking about TrevPAR, so that total revenue per available room, which historically has really only been something that resorts thought of. It wasn't something that you as an independent hotelier would really consider as being something that was for you. So even if you had F&B outlets, thinking about the total revenue that different guests bring in would not have been a key consideration in how you price your rooms, for example, like considering ancillary revenues when you consider pricing your rooms. It's been like that for quite a while in the resort properties, but why can't we treat every space that you have as a resort, or as an opportunity to drive more revenue for the things that your guests want?
Absolutely. And when you put it like that, again, it just opens up so many possibilities, because when you're talking about TrevPAR, what you once thought, okay, well, they're going to go to a restaurant over there, or they're going to hire the bikes over there because that's what we've always done. But when you think, oh, actually, I can capture that guest revenue theoretically, now how do I put that into practice? It opens up like insane revenue possibilities. And going back to the point of our talk, it's like that's the kind of thing revenue managers can focus on when they're not stuck doing all that.
Absolutely. Yeah, the non-room areas. And don't be afraid to try something. Not everything is going to work. And that's okay that it doesn't. Give it a try.
Yeah.
That would be my advice.
100%. And that's the same in any job. You've got to get creative. You've got to give things a try and see if they work. That's how we evolve and we move on. So that's fantastic. Yeah. So going back to so by the way, any revenue managers out there that are doing dynamic pricing on bicycle hire, surfboard hire, or anything else, we'd love to hear from you, because I think that would be very avant-garde, very forward-thinking in the industry. And I personally, like, DM us. We'd love to hear about it. Anything else that you kind of wrapping up, you'd like to say as final thoughts to the aspiring revenue leader out there? What should they kind of keep in mind?
That's a really good question. I guess just stay curious, think about technology as a way to empower you and not to replace you. And yeah, just try it and see. I think that would be my advice.
Yeah. Well, that's how all the best inventions get discovered, just by trying things.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, and you have to. I think being afraid of failure can be tough, specifically for revenue managers, because we often are tasked with so much analysis, and we end up also being tied with finance, where it's kind of a risk averse section of the business often. So pushing yourself to try and and not be afraid to fail outside of like really big failures, but involve and that is also going to involve collaboration as well, from different parts of the business, and having buy-in from everyone, that you're going to try some different things, because you all have a little bit more time now that you have technology to help you from doing those mundane sort of like admin type tasks. Like, take that time and use it in a way that can change the way that you're thinking about your business and change the way that you're thinking about driving revenue.
Right. Yeah. It's so interesting. Some of the best projects I've worked on in my career and that the most creative ideas have come out have been interdepartmental teams.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great takeaway. Revenue managers, like, go and work with the other teams, go and speak to them, go and see what's going on, and think of new ideas and collaborations that can be interdepartmental and cross company. I love that. Thank you so much. So I have a last question for you, which is, tell us something that nobody knows about you.
Oh gosh, we were just talking before we came on, and like, it's funny. I kind of, what's something that no one knows? I feel like I'm kind of an open book. Like, I always am telling things about myself just in general, because I've had the opportunity to live so many different places and do a lot of cool things. I used to star in Disney commercials.
Okay. Wow, that's unusual.
Yeah, most people probably can't say that. Yeah.
No.
But I used to.
Wow. How did that happen?
Oh, I worked for Disney for many years prior to moving into the casino hospitality world. I was in the entertainment, hospitality, Disney type world. So I was in several of their commercials. So there.
Amazing.
Fun, right?
Rhiannon, you've got a lot of stories. I know this. Like, I'll be coming to Sweden and we'll be talking about all your stories.
Have to talk. Yeah, we
talk. The Disney life. I don't know. Yeah. Well, it's been fantastic having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Super useful advice. And if anybody has unusual revenue stories, we'd love to hear them.
Absolutely.
And if you'd like to reach out to Rhiannon or to myself or to Mews or to Gain, you know where to find us. So thanks, everybody. And until next time, take care.
Bye.
Bye.